Yeah, hit go live. We got to
live.
give people a chance to get here.
Live.
Especially after the stupid time change.
So we're both going to be chatting from Run Jump Stomp, or from Stadiacast rather.
Yeah.
In chat.
That's fine. I don't actually type in chat very often anyway.
Okay.
Maybe I will more now that I'm not streaming it and I'm just recording it.
We'll figure it out. Here, we'll go to 2 up for a little bit. I did that just as you were coughing.
You did, you son of a... Are we live? People are saying good morning, so I assume so. Hey there, McSaucy. Hey, Kodiak.
We are live.
Look, not necessarily for today, but we're looking for people, somebody to volunteer to help us out and get the time codes from the show. Like, they started talking about flugel binders at 12 minutes and 30 seconds, like that kind of thing. So if there's anybody out there who, like, they're going to be here every single week and they don't mind helping us out, that would be really awesome, because Lloyd and I got 28 things going on and people keep saying, hey, you gave us time codes once, how come we don't have time codes again? And we're like, because we keep forgetting, because we're busy chatting about stuff.
Because we got lots of things going on.
Oh yeah, I sound much better. I still I still have like that rattly nastiness in my chest right now. That has not gone away, but I'm feeling much better. And I even took the family down to go visit our daughter. She lives about an hour away, so we went down to go visit her and went out to dinner last night.
Beautiful. Infecting the rest of the town.
No, I'm not contagious. I've got no fever. I'm fine. The doctor said I could go back to work, and as long as I didn't have a fever for 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah,
I gotta add the show notes here for after.
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right, man.
JB got some SteelSeries headphones for Stadia. Which versions did you get? McSaucy says, I've been cheating on Stadia with one of my original loves. Final Fantasy Remake demo has been my week. Did you play that, Lloyd?
No, I haven't turned on my PS4 in like a month. So
Lloyd, are you a fan of Final Fantasy VII?
I am. I really am, but I'm really not a fan of waiting 20 years to play the whole game over again in a remake, because it's going to take forever to get all the parts out. So I don't even know if I'm going to play this one, to be honest with you.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I know,
it is really good.
I saw some screenshot comparisons from the original trailer from like 4 years ago or whatever. Like this is what we're doing trailer to now, and it looks like the game has went from Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 4 in graphics. Like it's amazing. I really do want to play it, but I'll play the demo at least. I don't know if I'm going to pick up the full game though.
Well, play the demo like right after the show, because it is really good. I'm very, very impressed. I will say, I think Barrett's voice acting is still a little too over the top. I know that that's how he was written back then, but back then on text, it makes more sense. But when you hear it, it just sounds kind of silly. Especially there's this one scene in an elevator where Barrett's yelling about something, and I love Cloud's reaction. He's like, maybe you could yell later. I don't really want to hear it. It was great, but yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to. I think it's pretty tough for that not to get Game of the Year this year.
Nice.
And we're only in March.
That's amazing. Did they get Mr. T to voice act Barrett? Because that's how he was written. Like it was basically the developers over in Japan watched a bunch of A-Team and they're like, this is Barrett. He's going to be A-Team. He's going to pity the fool all the time. Like that voice act.
Shut up, fool!
Oh my god.
We're going to blow up this Mako reactor.
when that game came out, like there wasn't like the thought that everything we should be thinking about all these things. We should be politically correct.
Yeah.
Like none of that was out there. And at the time, like me and my friends and I were playing it, we're like, that's really not cool. Like what's going on here? Like what did they do for this character? Everyone else is normal. Barrett is just a little bit like way over the top. They took the over the top dial and cranked it to 11. So it's
they did.
I'm really interested to see how it plays out in the new one, but I don't know, man. The thought of 20 years of waiting to get like the 18 parts Square is going to come out with or whatever, like it's going to be tough.
Yeah, Square does take a long time. Well, it's going to take longer for the first one because that's where they built the engine and did all of the groundwork, and then after that I think it'll probably be faster.
Hopefully. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm doing the streaming again this week, guys. So if there's any screw ups, this is it's tough not being the host, but doing all the button pushing, like hitting all the buttons.
Well, we're really co-hosts. I just
sure.
intro the show.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of when I say host, I mean you're the one that's leading the conversation. So it's kind of tough. I don't like the way that my thing is so zoomed out. I gotta fix this because if I go to this scene while we're live, I'm gonna be very angry when I do it. So I gotta fix this. So just give me a second here.
This is how the sausage is made, ladies and gentlemen. I love how I looked at the camera and nobody saw me look at the camera. And then you cut to me when I'm rubbing on my eye.
Oh, sorry, I can't see your camera feed because it's covered by OBS. So I can't see what's happening until it happens. My bad.
It's okay, man. Oh. All right. Michael says, I hope it comes to Stadia. Do you think Final Fantasy VII Remake will come to the other platforms?
I think it has to. That's what Square does, right? Like they release a game and it's exclusive. Like they did Octopath Traveler, and it was exclusive to Nintendo Switch, and then eventually came to Steam. So I'm sure stuff like that'll happen, and maybe not Stadia, maybe it'll be a Steam thing, but I really hope that it comes to Stadia down the road, because that would probably be the way that I would play it.
I think it'll come to all platforms. Probably not Switch, but it'll come to all platforms, unless they do the same thing that they did with Final Fantasy 15, where they made the mobile version and they port the mobile version. But then I don't know if that makes any sense at all to do when you can just play Final Fantasy 7 like the original. So it's so weird.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. That mobile version of 15 was cool when I first started playing it on Switch. I'm like, this is neat, super deformed, it looks really cool. And then after about 2 hours, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this. I want to go play the real version. And I went and played it on PlayStation again. I still haven't beaten that game, but I've played it a bunch of times.
Yeah, same here. I think Kodiak Moonwolf in chat, he 100%ed the damn thing.
Oh my god,
because he's a crazy man.
That's insane.
I know, it was a lot. That's a big investment of time.
Wow.
All right. Do you want to record a podcast?
Yeah, let's record a podcast. I'll go to the intro screen, and you do Bill. And when the music comes in and goes down, I will switch, and we will be live.
All right.
Well, I guess we are live.
We'll do that. I'm recording
right now.
Well, we're only live for the awesome people who are here.
True.
Welcome back to Stadia, everybody. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. Stadiacast. What's new, Lloyd?
Not much, man. It's time change. So that's rough. I was out picking up someone at 2:45 last night in the morning, or I guess the 2:45 this morning, because I got a call that I had to pick someone up from downtown. So I'm going on like 2.5, 3 hours sleep, Bill, and I'm here wide-eyed, and I'm ready to talk Stadia. I don't know if word speak talk is going to come out of my mouth, but I will. I'll try my best.
It's just like at the beginning of the show where I said, "Welcome to Stadia."
There you go. See, I didn't even catch that. That's how tired I am.
Yeah, well, that's why I flubbed everything afterwards. Listen, before we get started, we record the show live, like Lloyd was just saying, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern over at youtube.com/Stadiacast. And yeah, we just had the ridiculous nonsense where we all change our clocks or the internet changes them for us now,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of handy. Although I still have 2 clocks downstairs that have to be fixed, like my microwave and my stove. But that being said, if you show up and you're like, hey, how come these guys are already talking? That's why. It's because we changed our clocks. If you want to directly support Stadiacast and you're here with us live because you changed your clock and got up early, well, first off, thank you very much. But if you want to use the super chat feature to support us, that will make sure that we see your message, and we guarantee that we will respond to each and every super chat in the second half of the show, which we call crowd play. So if there's a topic that you really want to hear us discuss, then use that super chat feature, and it will help us find your message in all of the other messages. You can also now become a member of the channel. If you don't know what that is, click on the join button right down below the video, and it'll tell you all about how you can support by becoming a member. And by the way, the revenue that Lloyd and I earn from doing this show, most of that comes from members. I was looking at our analytics the other day, and I just want to say thank you to all of our members for helping support the show. It really does. It's amazing. Thank you.
It is definitely.
All right, Lloyd, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing actually a fair bit. I dove back into SteamWorld Quest, and I just beat it last night. I've been playing through that game. I beat it a second time. I beat it on the Switch. I loved it, and I'm like, I want to play that again. The beauty of Stadia is I could play it on my computer. I could play it on my TV. I could play it on my laptop when I'm on lunch at work and get like some grinding in. SteamWorld Quest is such an amazing game. I don't think I'm going to 100% it. I was looking at the achievements after I beat the game, and there's some like have 12 different status things on the enemies at one time. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Or do 20,000 damage with one attack. I'm like, yep, nope, that's not going to happen. But I played through the whole game. It took me about 15 hours because I skipped most of the dialogue because I had seen it already. What a beautiful game, and what a perfect game to come to Stadia as one of the free pro games, because this is a game that a lot of people skipped on because it's a $25 game. They're like, oh, I don't know if I like the art style. I don't know if I like the card mechanic. And this coming as a pro game might allow a bunch of other people that haven't played it to be able to come in and play it, which is a great thing.
So on SteamWorld Quest, you said you were going to do a Let's Play. Is that the one you were doing a Let's Play of, or is that Dig?
I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of Dig. I started that. I don't know when the first episode will be coming out, but I'm going to be doing a full playthrough of Dig and put that up on the channel.
And that will be coming to members first?
Yes. Yes, it will.
I think so. Okay. Well, we could talk later. So SteamWorld games are awesome. I can't say enough good stuff about them. This week I played almost nothing. I had the flu, and I spent, and you can tell I'm still a little bit rattly in my voice, but I spent almost the entire week just sleeping in bed. I did play a little bit in the past 2 days, a little tiny bit of Grid. Now, most of the time, the like realistic, I'm going to say realistic with quotes, but realistic racing games aren't for me. Like, they're not the games that I would normally spend any time playing. However, that's because I'm not going to spend money on them. I got this one for free, so I was like, well, I'll try it out. It's not necessarily my kind of game, but I'll try it out. And I played it a little bit, and I have to say, oh my God, this game is beautiful. It is very, very, very pretty looking game. The graphics look fantastic. I can't tell you what resolution and frame rate it is. I leave that up to other people to figure out. But I was playing it on whatever the top quality option is on Stadia, and it's very, very pretty. The game is also, I mean, for me, incredibly hard, because when I play games, racing games, I'm the kind of person who has the gas down like the entire time. I never use the brake unless I'm trying to drift around a corner like in Mario Kart. And this game, that ain't happening. That's not working. You cannot play like that. You have to slow down as you approach corners. You have to play the racing game like you would actually drive a car. And I feel like in real life, I'm a pretty good driver, but good God, I got a wake up call when playing Grid, because that game is really, really tough, and I am bad at it. There was this one course. I can't remember which course it is. It's very early on in the game. There was this one course where you do yourself a favor, and when it comes up, make sure you press the X button so that you can do your hot lap to do a time trial. Because if you're out in front of the pack, it's so much easier to stay in front of the pack. If you start in the back of the pack, it feels to me impossible to catch up and pass people, because the cars are big and the courses are narrow, and you just don't have a lot of room to pass. But I was trying to do the time trial, and no matter what I did on this time trial, I still came in dead last place. So I was always the last car, and that was racing with nobody else on the track. Right. I was the last car every time because I was just so bad at this game. Have you played it at all yet, Lloyd?
I haven't. That's a game that I need to boot up and play. You're talking about it reminded me of playing Gran Turismo on PlayStation 1. Like getting into it, I'm like, you have to do license. I have to do a braking license. I have to do a different license. This is stupid. I'm a pro. I've played racing games my whole entire life. And then you get in your first race and it's like wall, crash. Yes. I'm last place, give up. So having those licensing challenges you had to go through actually made me a better driver for that game, not in real life. It would be I'm gonna have to, when I play the game, I'm gonna have to treat it more like that, not like Mario Kart. Even though Mario Kart, you can turn you can play like bumper bowling in Mario Kart, which I did for my kids like back in the day. I say bumper bowling because they can't go off the edge. Having something like that in this game might be a little bit easy. We'll call it Bill mode, so that you can you won't crash when you hit the sides.
Oh my God. The hood of my car flew off many times playing this game. So at some point after Lloyd's played it, and I have a little more time with it, we'll put out a video where we would discuss our thoughts on Grid on Stadia. But let us know what you think. On Twitter, we are at Stadiacast, or I'm at Run Jump Stomp, and he is at Dasme. Let us know what you think of both Grid and the SteamWorld games, which are the games that came out for free this month. If you are or I don't like to say free, that are included this month in your Stadia Pro subscription. All right, let's move on to the news. Google has a new studio. And this actually surprised quite a lot of people. You want to tell people about this, Lloyd?
Yeah, so this is really, really interesting. So Google announced this week on the 4th that they have just started a new studio. It's called Stadia Games and Entertainment Playa Vista, which is in California. And it's, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Having a California game development studio, sure. Google has a lot of people out there in San Francisco area and LA area. It makes total sense. And then I'm reading the press release and it's like, it has Shannon Studstill. And I'm like, I recognize that name. Where is that from? And then I kept going in the press release. And Shannon was one of the directors for the latest God of War games. She comes over from Sony Santa Monica, who did God of War, did a bunch of other games. So this is another high-profile member of the gaming industry that has moved over to Stadia and started up a new studio. This is huge news. Like, you're pulling Jade Raymond, who did a lot of really great stuff and is someone that everybody wants to work with in the industry. Now you have Shannon Studstill that's over as well. These are some visionaries, and Google sees that and it's like, here's some money, start a studio, make games. We don't. This isn't like make games that are coming out next week. This is like this is the long haul thing, and it really shows that Google is serious, and it's not what everybody is panicking about online. That's like, oh my God, Stadia's getting bad press, they're going to cancel it right away. Like, that's not happening. Moves like this tell us that this is a long haul move where 5 years from now they're going to start to see some benefits from stuff like this.
I think that this is incredibly good news. I do think that Google should have done this a long time ago. I don't understand why they're waiting until now to do things like this. But that being said, it's great to find people who have really good experience and leading teams, because she has worked on some fantastic stuff. The God of War games, like you said, she worked on Fat Princess, which was really a hilarious and very, very fun game.
Yep.
She worked on Twisted Metal. She has a very long list of games that a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for and really, really like. So I'm excited for this, and I'm excited to find out what games we're going to see from this studio in 3 years. But, you know, I have to say this as well. You already kind of made this point, and this is an important point to make. This again shows us that Stadia is going to be around for a while. Google would not be throwing this kind of money at creators like this to make something if they didn't anticipate still having the platform in a long time. And I never doubted that Google would hold on to Stadia for a long time. And the reason why a lot of people worry about that is because of things like Google Reader and other, like Google Plus and other things where Google tried things, they didn't work out the way that they wanted, or they were working fantastically well.
Yep.
And then they decided, let's just scrap it and move on. Well, most of those things were those 20%er things. And I don't know if this is still true, but it used to be true back in the day that when you worked at Google, you get 20% of your time. You can work on any project that you decide that you want to work on. And so that's where things like Google Reader came from. That's where things like Google
Gmail
Plus may have came from.
That's where Gmail started,
came from. Right. And sometimes these things work out and sometimes they don't. This is not one of those 20%er projects. This is one of those projects that Google is going in all hands on deck for. And everybody who makes this same argument, well, Google killed Google Reader, they're going to kill Stadia. I feel like those are I imagine that those comments are attached to that meme of SpongeBob kind of leaning over with his face all screwed up, because every time I see it, I'm just like, really? You're making that argument? That's a dumb argument. It's a paper tiger.
Sure.
And I can't stand that.
Yeah, I agree fully. And like you're saying that, why are they announcing this now? Like, who knows how long Shannon has been running this? Like, when just from my personal experience or my knowledge here in Winnipeg, Ubisoft opened a studio and they said, okay, we're opening up a studio. Ubisoft Winnipeg is going to be opening and we're going to be up and running in a year. They had a big press announcement saying this is what we're doing. Meanwhile, that whole entire year where they were really quiet, it was more like 9 months. They were hiring everybody, all the really big game developers locally that I know personally, because I used to I was on the board of a new media organization here in Winnipeg. So I had all of these people that I know, and then I find out later they're all working for Ubisoft. So they were hired almost immediately as they're spinning up the studio. And then they're like, yep, okay, we're active, we're just working on back end tools for Ubisoft games. Meanwhile, they're working on that rollerblading game, they're working on a bunch of other stuff.
Oh,
So they say publicly what they're doing, but in reality they're doing something totally different. So who knows if Shannon, this team has been working on something for the last 6 months or 9 months, and they're just announcing it now because people are looking on LinkedIn and wondering what happened. Who knows? But yeah, it doesn't mean that games are going to come from the studio in 6 months. It's going to be a year if it's a small indie style title, but it's going to be probably 3 years if it's going to be a big like first person story driven kind of game. It's going to take a while for that to happen.
yeah. I want to take a quick tangent because you mentioned that rollerblading game.
Mm-hmm.
And that rollerblading game looks so fun. I played a little bit of it last year when they had the E3 demo. Have you played it?
I did not. That's a game that I'm really interested in jumping on. It's, to me, it would be more fun than Rocket League, to me personally. So I hope it's a game very much like Rocket League because it just looks beautiful.
See, now Ubisoft has brought a bunch of games to Stadia, and they've been a big partner with Stadia. And then they just announced that game's coming to Nintendo Switch, but they haven't mentioned that it's coming to Stadia, and that makes me like, come on, tell us, because that's where I want to play it. I want to play it on Stadia. That's the place where I think it's going to play the best.
Right. No, I agree fully. I would love, because then all your progression is right there. Although Rocket League and a lot of other Fortnite, they have progression stored on the server, so maybe it's not a progression thing. But the game's going to look beautiful if you're playing it on Stadia.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. This week in Stadia, Get Serious. They told us that Serious Sam Collection is now out on Stadia. Lloyd, have you played it?
I have not played it on Stadia. I've played Serious Sam back in the day. Like, I remember when Serious Sam first came out on the PC on like my Pentium 200 or whatever, like an old game. And then playing through on the 360 and other platforms like that. This collection looks really good. It's all three Serious Sam games: Serious Sam HD, the first encounter; Serious Sam HD, the second encounter; and Serious Sam 3 BFE, which I won't say what that stands for. And it is available for $30. It looks like it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun for people that like kind of zany sort of run and gun shooters, but not a game that I have played on Stadia.
Yeah, I haven't played it either. I've never played any of the Serious Sam games. I think it sounds like a good deal, $10 per game, essentially.
Yeah.
I wish that they would sell them separately because I would like to try the first one before I go in on all three.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this right now, or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below or send a message to us on Twitter and let us know what you think of Serious Sam Collection. Is it worth picking up? For me, like, it's old Xbox 360 games, I'm not super interested, although the video that they showed us looked interesting to me. I just don't want to go in on $30. I wish they would separate it out, but
Sure.
of course, I understand why they don't do that. It makes a lot of sense for them to keep them all together.
Serious Sam is basically a game. It's like, okay, you've played Doom, but what if instead of running through a corridor and having a monster closet open and two guys come at you, what if you're running through a field and 800 things are chasing you? Like, it's a game that just ramps up the amount of enemies that are coming at you. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was really just insane. I think at one point, like, they had like the guy that does Duke Nukem voice in it or something. Like, they've just taken the absurd and they ran with it. So this would be a fun game to play, but it's not a modern game. It's not a game that just came out this year. So if you're going in it hoping for a lot of plot, like I'm playing through a Shadow of the Tomb Raider right now, which is super story focused, plot focused, this is not that game. This is a run and gun, shoot at things, get overwhelmed by crazy zombies with bombs on their hands that are running at you. But if that's what you're looking for, this might be a fun one to play.
Well, I mean, you bring up Doom. Doom is right around the corner. We've got, what is it, 12 days left before Doom Eternal comes out.
Yeah.
Are you buying that game day one?
I think I have to. I've been looking forward to that game since I played Doom 2016. I said, I was like, I got to see what they're doing next. 2016 is one of my favorite games of that generation of games. I'm going to have to play Doom Eternal, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait for Doom. And that's another reason why I'm not jumping in on Serious Sam. You know, you make that comparison to Doom.
Yeah.
And when you watch the video, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely getting Doom vibes from this. But then I've got Doom coming in 12 days. So why would I jump in on Serious Sam? I mean, hey, if you bought Serious Sam and you think it's awesome, let us know why. But I personally am really, really excited to play Doom Eternal. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. It had a delay. It's finally coming. And I love the idea of multiplayer. I really, really hope that Doom Eternal supports crowd play,
Right.
where we can have the people, like I can be the Doom Slayer or a demon, and we can fill the rest of the team or the rest of the multiplayer people from chat, and they can just click a button and say, hey, I want to play with them, and we can play together, because that's going to be really exciting.
Yep.
You'd think that they would have said something about that by now, though.
Yeah, you would think so, right? Yeah. The thing that I'm super excited about Doom Eternal for is the fact that I'll be able to play it with amazing graphics right from the get-go. Because when Doom 2016 came out, I didn't have a PC that was capable of playing it. They just released the specs that you're going to need. I don't have a PC capable of playing it on any good
what
resolution.
are the specs? Do you have those?
I don't have them handy, but I have an ATI card which is lower than the one that they listed as kind of like minimum for best experience. So I can't remember what the recommendation was. I think you needed a 970 and I have like a 570 a GTX or whatever.
Yeah, I just brought it up. So you have to have an i5 2500K 3.3 gigahertz or an AMD 8320, AMD Radeon R9 290 or NVIDIA GeForce 970. Now a 970, so I recently upgraded my graphics card in my computer.
Right.
And I gave my old one to my son. My old one was a 960, and that was, I'm going to say 5 years old.
Yeah.
I think it was, well, maybe it was a little younger. Maybe it was 3 years old when I gave it to him. So if your PC is like older than 3 years, you probably can't run Doom. And even if you are running Doom, it's going to run like garbage unless you play on Stadia, in which case you don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, as more of these games come out, that have really high-end minimum requirements, that's when that's another thing that's going to be like, hey, look at Stadia over here. You don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
And my card's about 4 years old based on my PC, and it wasn't new, or it's 3 years old from age, but it was about a year old when I got it in my PC. There's no way it's going to run Doom Eternal. So Stadia is definitely the way that I'm going to go, just to play it on 4K if it supports it, 4K 60 if it supports it, or 1080p or 720p on my laptop. Like, you can play it on both sides of the coin, which is going to be really, really great.
Well, actually, I think that they said that Doom Eternal will be 4K 60. I remember seeing like them having it on stage or something. 4K 60 right behind them. Now, that doesn't mean that it's actually 4K, because it could be upscaled from something. And honestly, I don't like it. Look, Xbox does that. PlayStation does that. Google is doing that. Everybody keeps saying this resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really whatever resolution. Like, I don't think that should be allowed. You should have to say, I mean, look, I have a podcast where the motto is resolution doesn't matter, but it still bothers me when they say that this is the resolution you're getting, and you're not really getting that resolution. It's upscaled to that.
Sure.
So all of you people out there that are like, well, my PlayStation Pro has 4K. Well, sometimes it's 4K, but sometimes it's something else,
Yeah.
and you just don't know.
Exactly. Joel Thompson says, yeah, they said it's true 4K with HDR. And I was mainly just trying to make a point where I don't have to buy it on a PC version, which I can't play, or my Switch version. I can buy it on Stadia and play it at the full resolution or a lower resolution if I'm playing it on my PC if I want. The ability to kind of control where I want to enjoy this game is going to be, it's going to be a huge selling factor from here on out. Like playing through Tomb Raider, like I am right now, I don't really want to play a game on a console now. I want to get all my games on Stadia. They look beautiful, they play beautiful, and I can pick them up and play wherever I am. Stadia has really kind of changed my my gaming habits. Like I've played Stadia pretty much every single day since it's come out, and that's new to me. So I'm between Stadia and then Switch for exclusives and portable games, I'm set. Like I don't really need the next generation consoles. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when those launch and how the industry changes. But man, Stadia over the last little bit has just been fantastic.
And one more thing about resolution, and then I promise we'll move on to the next story. But one more thing about resolution is I was looking at Reddit the other day, and somebody was asking how they could tell what resolution they were like, because 4K is slowly rolling out. I can't believe I didn't put this in the show notes. Sometimes I think I'm an idiot. 4K is slowly starting to roll out on Chrome.
Yep.
So some people are able to get 4K on Chrome, and some people are still not able to yet. And that's because Google is doing the thing where they slowly roll this thing out. And somebody posted on the subreddit, they said, how do I know if I have 4K or not? And all I wanted to say is, well, if you can't tell, who cares? Just play the game. What is your problem, people?
Yeah. See, that's why I hate that conversation. It's like, oh, this game's not 4K, I'm not playing it. Well, it still looks good. If the developers put in a mode that would stretch your 1080p, they would up-res it by 4 to make it 4K. It doesn't mean it's going to look better. It just means you're getting more pixels being sent to you. So I'm glad that new games are coming out that are fully embracing 4K 60 from a design standpoint. But yeah, I hate that conversation. But then I'm now someone that has 2 4K screens where I didn't have a 4K screen before. So now it's kind of interesting to me, where before I'm just like, 4K, who cares? I'm now starting to get it a little bit, but I'm not one of those people that will complain. Interesting note: if you go to Red Dead's entry on the Stadia store, it says at the bottom in the kind of fine print, it says resolution available 4K at 30 frames a second. I can't bring it up right now, or I would. So it looks like Google's being a little bit more forthcoming with what the maximum resolutions are. Which is interesting.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
It also kind of cuts into some websites, because there are some websites out there that will be like, hey, these are the resolutions that you can play, and now Google's just taking that away from them. All right, let's move on. We've got a couple of new games coming to Google Stadia. Well, not new games, they're old games, but they're new to us. They're certainly new to me. One of them is from publisher Deep Silver, and the other is from Square Enix. You want to tell people about these games, Lloyd?
Yeah, so I did a news video when this press release / news post dropped. We're getting 2 games. The first one's called Relicta or Relicta. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know how to say that.
But basically, I believe this game started as a VR game, and basically the whole game revolves around you moving objects in the world with your gloves. So you have a blue glove and a red glove. Blue glove can move blue objects through the world. Red glove can move red objects through the world. There's items that will take the object that's hitting blue, or there's things on like walls and whatever where you touch it with a blue block, it turns to a red block, and then you move it with a red block with your red glove. So it's a puzzle game. It's hard to explain, but it is a puzzle game with like puzzle rooms. You're set on in space, and you are trying to solve the mystery as to why no one is around. And it looks like it's going to be a thing where the people that were there that you can't see anymore set up all these puzzles, so whatever evil is inside of this planet can't get out. Something like that. The game itself looks really cool. Though it was made as a VR game, so you always have your hands up on the screen, which is kind of distracting.
I was just going to say, that looks like a VR game.
Yeah, it started as a VR title, I believe. So it looks really cool. It's a puzzle game, which we don't have a lot of on Stadia, so that is really cool. And then the Turing Test is the next game they announced, which is also a puzzle game and also set in space. And this is basically Portal without the portal gun. So you have a gun that can power or turn off different machines. So you're just trying to get through the world through powering and powering off different weapons. This game, incidentally enough, had a huge press release. And it's like a big announcement. Square's like, oh, we're having a big announcement coming in 3 days. And then it turned out that it was the Turing Test coming to the Nintendo Switch. And then now it's coming to Stadia as well. So this is not a new game, but this is something that a lot of people have been really enjoying over the years. So having it on Stadia would be a really good place to play, because you don't have to worry about your console or your Switch or your PC. You're just picking it up on Stadia and you can play it wherever you are.
So, all right, I have not played either of these games. What I will say is that Portal, one of my favorite games of all time, and I have a question for you, Lloyd.
Yep.
Other than Portal, what is your favorite first-person puzzle game?
First-person puzzle game. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was on PlayStation, and you're basically going through all the puzzles. It's the guy. Oh, what's the name of the game? I'm gonna have to Google search what it was called.
All right, you Google search it, and I'm gonna tell people about my favorite first-person puzzle game other than Portal, and that is Chroma Gun.
Yes.
And Chroma Gun is so good. It's not available on Stadia. I'm sorry, but you know what? You can play other stuff, and it does not require very heavy hardware in order to play. You have this gun that can shoot 3 colors, red, blue, and yellow. And you shoot those colors in order to change the color of the wall or the color of these little orbs. And you have to get the orbs to go and stand on little spots in order to open doors. And so what you do is you shoot a color on the wall that's blue, and then you shoot an orb to turn that blue, and then the blue will be attracted to each other, and the little orb will go over to the wall and turn on the thing to open up the door. And it sounds easy enough, but then you can start mixing the colors. You can mix red and blue to get purple, and you can mix yellow and blue to make green. All of you Ziploc bag fans out there, remember that color combination. But it's an awesome game. I hope it does come to Stadia at some point so somebody can play it, but it's really good. And those kind of games are really fun. I love Portal. I love Chroma Gun. And so the Turing Test and Relicta both seem really cool. What was your game, Lloyd?
It's The Witness on PlayStation. It's basically a whole big puzzle island. And I was so... I was so addicted to that game. I was trying to figure out what was happening on the island. I was making, I had a notebook with all the different little puzzles, and it's like, okay, this has 3 dots. Is that part of it? And it's like, oh, I got to come back to it. So you remember movies where you have Post-it notes and you have fabric, yarn between the points on it. I was almost at that level of insanity trying to figure my way through this game. I absolutely loved it. But I'm glad that it's not on Stadia, because I'd probably get obsessed again, because I'd forget all of the solutions, and I'd have to obsess to figure them all out again. But really, really great puzzle game.
Joel Thompson is asking, are these games similar to Riven or Myst? And I would say no, they are not similar to Riven or Myst, other than that they are first-person puzzle games. Although I guess The Witness is more like Riven or Myst, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the other ones that I've been talking about are not.
Right.
All right, let's move on. This one, not much to say about it, except for the ESRB has given a rating to Mafia 3 Sign of the Times DLC for Stadia under platforms Stadia. Lloyd is highlighting it right now. I've not played any of the Mafia games. I remember seeing a video of one a long time ago, and it was like a turn-based top-down thing. I don't know if the Mafia 3 game is like that, but maybe this is something that you're interested in. I just wanted to let people know about it.
Mafia is very much like Grand Theft Auto. So I've played Mafia 1 and 2, and you're basically exploring the world, doing stuff, committing crimes, or solving or keeping people from committing crimes, solving kind of the puzzles in the world to prevent that from happening. Mafia 3 was set in a time where there was a lot of racial stuff happening in the US, and the game revolves around that a lot. I didn't play the game, but I've seen enough people talk about it and things like that. It's a game I've always wanted to jump into and play. If it comes to Stadia, that might be the best way to play it, because I can jump into it. The one complaint I did hear about Mafia is that the driving sucked, because there's no fast travel. So to get from one part of the city to the other part was taking like 4 hours of driving. Really not 4 hours, but you're like driving 15 minutes, and then you basically you crash and they have to start again, or fail the mission, you have to start again. But it is a fun game, and it's a series that's been out for a very long time. So that's maybe a good one to come to the platform.
So the game that I was thinking of was Gangsters 2 Vendetta, and that's why I confused them, and I apologize for that. All right, moving on. The Division 2. Lloyd, why don't you tell everybody about the Division 2 and the good news that they're about to hear?
So Division 2 came out a while ago, over a year ago. And then recently, about 2 weeks ago, they had this huge, I follow a bunch of deal hunting, gaming deal hunting Twitter accounts. And all of a sudden they're all posting Division 2 is $3. Don't know if it's an error or not. So I went and I bought Division 2 on PS4 and Xbox because my son wanted to play it and I wanted to play it. And then I knew that there was a video coming up the following week. So I was like, okay, this is probably what it's related to. Well, they came out and said that we're unveiling our new expansion. It's called the Warlords of Expansion, and the Warlords of New York, actually. And it's going to be set in New York, where the Division 2 is not set in New York, it's set in Washington. And it's going to be coming out, and we have the special pricing. So you can buy the expansion for $30, you can buy the expansion in the main game for $40, or you can buy the expansion in the main game and the year one season pass for $60. And I'm like, oh, that's why they dropped it to $4 or $3, $4 Canadian, because they want people to go and buy this expansion. And then recently the news came that on the 17th, Division 2 is coming to Google Stadia, and it will be you'll be able to do crossplay with PC versions if they've synced their save games to Uplay. So a lot to unpack from this announcement, but this means that Division 2 is coming really soon, and this means we're going to be getting the latest expansion, and it means that you'll be able to play cross save with your PC version if you bought it on Uplay. So really great news all around.
Not just cross save, but also cross play, right?
I believe so.
So, like, if you're playing on PC, I will be able to play with you on Stadia. That's what the PC gamer thing says.
That's right. So that is good, because we know Stadia sometimes has some issues with their player base for lack of player base because it's such a new platform. So this will be really, really great to do cross save, cross play, and get out there and play through this new content, which the Warlords of New York adds a season pass kind of thing. So every few months there's going to be a bunch of things that you can complete to get various weapons, skins, and knee pads, and all the other fun cosmetics that you can get. Well, they're not really cosmetic in this game because they do give you stats, but this looks like it'll be a really great thing to play on Stadia.
All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, it's time for crowd play. So get your questions ready, everybody.
The Atari 2600. Now get up to $30 in rebate offers plus a free Pac-Man.
All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everybody. We've got, first off, I got a couple of comments on YouTube. The first one is from Rico Rodriguez. They're referring to the idea that Relicta and Turing Test are coming out to Stadia, and they say hardly next gen, get a grip, Google. And normally I just ignore negative comments, but I thought that this was a good this allows us to say something that I think is important. Just because a game is not a AAA game or doesn't have the most crazy graphics doesn't mean that it shouldn't be on Stadia. And we've said this before, but I think it's important. It's an important thing to say again. Yeah, there's going to be games on Stadia that you're not interested in.
Sure.
There's going to be games on Stadia that I'm not interested in. But that doesn't mean that those games shouldn't be on Stadia, because Stadia is for everybody, and you want to have games out there. If you want the platform to succeed, which I assume Rico Rodriguez does not, but if you want the platform to succeed, then you want it to have a diverse and a well, you want it to have a big library with lots of variety. If that's exactly what I was trying to say, and I really had trouble getting that out. That's because I've been sick all week. Lloyd, do you have any comment about this?
No, I agree. Like, you don't have to, just because you have a new platform doesn't mean you need only next gen games. If that's the case, well, we'd be waiting 2 years to get all the good next gen games. This is a platform that you need a bit of everything. You need new games, you need old games, you need indie games, you need AAA games, you need AA games, you need everything on the platform to make it succeed. Because I'm a different gamer than Bill, than everybody else that is on Stadia. So you need to have that I don't know, that differing experience for everybody that wants it. You need to have something there for every type of gamer. Maybe someone really likes puzzle games and they're over the moon for this announcement. If someone is only interested in the latest and greatest next gen game, maybe they're not excited, as Rico Rodriguez might be in that boat.
Right, and Doom Eternal is coming very soon, and I'm very excited for it. Mm-hmm. But somebody else might be like, well, I just want to play Spitlings all day. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
So, not everybody wants to play the same things that you want to play. And please keep that in mind when new games get announced for this new platform, that, it's going to be better if more people have games that they like on it. And that's kind of what Boost USA said when they did a YouTube comment. They said, these games are not my cup of tea, but it's nice that the library is growing. Hopefully the Division 2 will be priced properly. And you think it's priced properly?
Well, we don't know what the Stadia price is, but I would assume
those were the prices for the other platforms.
But it just launched on the other platforms. So 30, 40, and 60, I would assume that is the exact same price that we're going to get on Stadia. And I believe if you just want to buy the base game, it's $10. So there's like 10, 30, 40, 60 is the price point for Division 2, plus all the microtransaction stuff if you want to buy those kits. So I would assume that that's what it's going to be on Stadia, but they haven't announced a price yet.
All right. David Rodriguez Jr. Oh gosh, actually, we're going to get back to David Rodriguez in a second. I almost forgot. We had super chats that came in the beginning of the show. Ray Sherrod threw out a $10 super chat with the dancing pair. Thank you very much, Ray. We appreciate that. And Anthony Talcott says, I'm all about Divinity 2 right now. Have you played it? What character did you make? And I think I need to make sure that I explain this for everybody. Divinity 2 is made by Larian Studios, the same company that is making Baldur's Gate 3. So a lot of people looked at Baldur's Gate 3 and they said, okay, well, I don't want to wait to play something like this. I want to play something like this now. So I'm going to pick up Divinity Original Sin 2 because it's as close as I can get to playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. And I am one of those people. I bought it the other day. It's on sale on Steam for, I wanted to get it on Switch, but it was like full price on Switch, and on Steam it was like $20. So I or maybe 15, I can't remember, but I ended up picking it up on Steam, and I made like 3 or 4 different characters because I kept trying to find the one that I really liked. And right now I think I'm playing a ranger, and I just got to like the first city, and I've, I had my first real combat, like once I've got like members in my party, and I'm really enjoying it. I think that game is awesome, and it makes me very, very excited for Baldur's Gate 3, although the games play very differently. So for instance, Baldur's Gate 3, when you're playing your whole team, like you do combat, you roll for initiative, whichever team has the better initiative, they go first, and then the whole team goes, and then the entire opposite team goes. So maybe you go and then the enemy goes, the whole team. In Divinity Original Sin 2, you all roll for initiative individually, and then each character goes in the order of their initiative roll. which is, I think, more accurate to tabletop RPGs. However, I have played games where it's the team goes, and I've played games where the individuals go. I prefer where the team goes all at once because it allows you to really synergize what your team is going to do. And one of those things, that makes me very excited for what's happening with Baldur's Gate 3. However, Divinity Original Sin 2 is awesome, and I like it. Have you played that game, Lloyd?
I haven't. I need to get on it. I it's one of those games where I want to pick it up. I want to pick it up on Switch just like you, but yeah, like full price is just, for me, for a game that I'm just picking up as kind of like a stopgap between now and Baldur's
Right.
Gate. I don't want to drop $80 to do that, or $50 or whatever the price was. I can't remember. It was a while ago when I looked at it. But it's a game that I do want to play eventually down the road.
All right. So actually, now we're done with the super chats for now. If you have other questions that you want to make sure that we get to, make sure that you do super chat, and we'll notice it.
Before we get to the tweet from David Rodriguez, he dropped something in chat when I was setting up the stream, and his comment was, "I hope they touch on the dumb conspiracy that Stadia is buying out exclusive rights to all the publishers leaving GeForce Now." So yeah, let's chat about that a bit. I don't think that's the reason why publishers are leaving GeForce Now. I think it's because publishers have said that they want to control where their games appear, and they see GeForce Now as a new platform, even though you are playing the games based on your Steam or Epic library or Good Old Games library or whatever other things go into GeForce Now. That is the main reason why these games are being pulled from that service. We had a huge conversation in the Run Jump Stop Discord where some people agree with it, some people don't agree with it. Personally, I don't agree with it just because I've bought the game and I'm playing my Steam game on a PC in the cloud, not playing a version that GeForce bought and is giving me access to. But there was a huge conversation about that. I don't think publishers are leaving because of Stadia, because if they wanted to release it on Stadia, they could just make it for Stadia, and then it would be exclusive on that platform, Stadia being the only console that is streaming right now all 100% of its games. They could do it that way.
Right. And I agree with you. And I think a lot of the reason why people are assuming that it's a deal with Google, which is the reason why games are getting pulled from GeForce Now, is because shortly after the deal with Google, between Google and Activision for streaming their live stuff on YouTube Gaming, and Google providing servers for their online games, like that deal, which is nothing to do with Stadia, by the way.
Yep.
That deal happened shortly before the GeForce Now stuff, where Activision Blizzard pulled all of their games from the platform. So everybody assumed that look, Google is a big company. They're called Alphabet for a reason, because they have lots and lots of different little subsets that don't necessarily talk to each other. So this idea that, Activision Blizzard partner with Google, so that means Google is going to be the only ones that get to stream it. That's not really what's happening here. What's really happening here is that publishers are looking at it and saying, I think we can make a buck by pulling our games from GeForce Now. And look, you're talking to two guys who are like, we like Stadia enough that we made a show about it, right? And Lloyd and I both agree that GeForce Now is getting screwed here.
Yep.
And we think that the publishers, I'm going to say that I think that the publishers are in the wrong. Legally, they're fine. They haven't done anything illegal. But ethically, I think that they're being a bunch of jerks. And that's not how you make good, happy customers, at least in my opinion. Am
100%.
I not speaking for you, Lloyd?
No, it's 100%. Like for me, when GeForce Now, we talked about it on the Discord. I don't need to rehash it, but I'll just say GeForce Now is essentially you're renting time on a PC. That PC isn't underneath your desk; it's in the cloud. but publishers see it differently. There was that indie game that got pulled because they didn't want it on there, because that took away their ability to make a mobile game in the future. I fully get it. This will all be hashed out either in the courts or with publisher agreements or with something else over the next year or so. Things will get less murky, but this is something entirely new. It's like when iTunes came out, and it was basically every single song that's in the iTunes library is available on the iTunes Music subscription. So I could download an album that I didn't buy and listen to it as long as I'm paying my subscription. I remember there was a bunch of comedians on Twitter that were saying, I never gave Apple my the rights to let people listen to my comedy album for free, and they went in there and they pulled their stuff from the Apple Music service. So this happens. You can't think of every possible scenario as Google or as Apple or as GeForce, but hopefully you're learning so that these types of mistakes aren't made in the future.
Yeah. All right, David Rodriguez, thank you for the idea for what to talk about. He also tweeted earlier this week. He said, do you still have Google Stadia buddy passes to give away? We do. So I can direct people where to try and win one from you guys. All right, so the best way for people to get a buddy pass from either Lloyd or I is to follow at Run Jump Stomp, that's me, or at Dasme, that's Lloyd. And every once in a while, we tweet out buddy passes. People send them to us and we tweet them out. In fact, I'm going to send one out right now, and I'm going to reply directly to David so that he can see it. But of course, if anybody is following me at Run Jump Stomp on Twitter, then you will also see it. So again, follow at Run Jump Stomp on Twitter, follow Dasme on Twitter, and of course, come to our live shows and watch our videos that we post throughout the week, because sometimes we will put buddy passes right there in the videos or in the comment section down below the videos.
Right.
Just wherever it is that we are, go there and you're likely to find a buddy pass.
David just put in the chat room that he's a founder, so this is for his friend, not for him. But now you have.
Now he can forward it to his friend.
I just saw the tweet come across, so there you go, David.
All right. Seven tweeted at us. They said, hey, Stadiacast, do you think we'll be seeing ray tracing at the release of Cyberpunk on Stadia? The competition has it soon, and it would be a great pro feature, maybe something for the show. Cyberpunk 2077 would be a great showcase. What do you think, Lloyd? Do you think we're going to get ray tracing?
I don't know. The hardware they said is capable of software-based ray tracing. I don't know if that's going to be if that's going to cut it for Cyberpunk or not. If you need the actual hardware to do all the heavy lifting. I don't know enough about ray tracing from a hardware standpoint, a hardware requirement standpoint. I know what ray tracing is and all that stuff, and we talked about it on the show, but I'm not sure what level of video card you need to do ray tracing on the PCs, for example, for Cyberpunk 2077. It would be nice if they did some software stuff. There's also talk that I believe the Xbox Series X is going to have hardware assisted ray tracing, which would be similar to what maybe Google could do, where it's mainly a software solution, but it's using the GPU to do some of the heavy math. Maybe that would be something that they could do on the Stadia version. I know I'm playing it on Stadia, even though I pre-ordered a PlayStation version. I want to play it on Stadia anyway. So I'll either get ray tracing or not. But there's so much neon in Cyberpunk. Like the ray tracing from that would just be so damn beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. As far as will we get ray tracing eventually, I think absolutely every platform eventually will have ray tracing. You just have to wait long enough. I know that there are people, and look, I am not a hardware guy. I don't pay that close attention. But from what I understand, ray tracing, NVIDIA cards allow you to do ray tracing. AMD cards don't allow you to do ray tracing. So everybody was like, Google went with AMD. So that means no ray tracing. Well, guess what? Microsoft stuff is AMD as well.
Exactly.
I think the PlayStation stuff is going to be AMD as well.
Yep.
and I'm fairly certain that they're going to have ray tracing. So just because it's AMD does not mean that ray tracing is not going to happen on that platform.
Exactly.
And you have to remember, Google has what they call elastic computing. So when they have elastic computing, that means they can take a couple blades and put them together, and maybe there's enough power there to do software-based ray tracing, whereas you can't do that with with a couple of Xbox Ones. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Once you're playing a game and you're running around, sure, when you stop for a second and look at the game, you're like, oh man, ray tracing looks really cool.
Exactly.
But when you're in the moment-to-moment gameplay, it doesn't matter as much because you're just focusing on the gameplay, not the graphics. And that's why, you play games on the Switch, like Doom on the Switch, Doom 2016. When you play that on the Switch, if you looked at it side by side with, somebody playing on the PS4 or the Xbox One, it would be clear to you, this does not look as good.
Yep.
But when you're playing it, you're like, it doesn't matter because I'm having fun. And there's too many people that just focus so much on, does it check this box? Does it check that box? And if it doesn't check this box, 4K 60 ray tracing, whatever the next buzzword is, if it doesn't check those boxes, I'm not having it. And I think that people should just move on from that and say, is the game fun? And if the answer is yes, then shut up about everything else. Not that I want Seven to shut up. I'm just saying, too much, just relax, people.
Exactly. There's some confusion in the chat room about what ray tracing is, and essentially the way games are now, when you light a scene as an environmental artist, you go and you put a light in this part of the map, and it's a big light, and it can light X number of feet away from it, and you're basically taking those physical lights that you can't see in game, and you are moving them around to make the game look good. What ray tracing does is it simulates the photons coming from a light emitter. So the sun, a street light, a neon sign, and it simulates the way that the actual photons, like real light in the world that we live in, go around. They emit from that light, and then they hit a surface and then bounce off. So they hit a shiny surface, they bounce off a lot. They hit a kind of like concrete, they bounce a little less. They hit something that is black, it bounces off a little bit less. But also when they bounce off, they can take some color from that object, just like real light. So it's just a more natural way of lighting a scene when you're not having to worry about moving stuff around to make the scene look nice. It's basically putting lights where they would be in the real world, and then just allowing the engine to figure out what the scene looks like. So it looks amazing when done right. And the NVIDIA cards, they have an accelerator that accelerates those types of math, because I did ray tracing back on my 486. It took a day to render a scene. You put like this glass ball over here, and this metal cube, and this cone, and all this stuff, and you put it in a room with these backgrounds.
Bryce.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, I'm going to leave this overnight. It's amazing. And then you come the next day, and it's like, oh, that looks so beautiful. Now you can do all that complex math for all the lights, all the photons hitting, bouncing, and all that stuff. It can be amazingly beautiful. Or, as people in the chat room have said, it can be amazingly taxing on your system that people shut it off because they want more FPS. They don't want more beautiful scenes. So it'll be a while before this is in every single game, but I love the games that I've seen with ray tracing in it.
It'll happen eventually with just about everything. All right. We just got another super chat. Thank you very much, Captain Skidmarks. He sent in a super chat. He says, what do you all think about the Amazon Game Studios new game coming out in May? And that would be their MMO New World. I'm worried about that. And this isn't necessarily, a Stadia topic. However, Lloyd and I understand that Stadia does not exist in a vacuum, so we can talk about other stuff. So let's take a second and talk about this. That game seemed very interesting, but then they made a huge pivot. It started out as a PvP-focused game, and then they said, you know what, let's scrap that, and we're going to make it a PvE-focused game with some city building stuff where you get together with other players and you build a city, and then you have to defend that city from like monsters that come to attack the city. And then other players can then take that city from you but it seems like it's changed so many times that I don't really understand what it is right now. I doubt that there's any chance in hell that it will ever come to Stadia, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in. Lloyd, have you been paying attention to New World at all?
I saw the announcement and I looked a little bit into it, and I didn't think it was a game that I was ever going to play, or at least not something that I want to get invested in before it launched. So I've been hearing the buzz in the background, but I haven't really been focusing on it a lot. I think when when it comes out, it's going to be a challenge to get people to play it. But having things hosted fully in the cloud is the way that the world is going. So having MMOs have always been that way, but if you can have more cross-platform MMOs, if you can have more games that exist on a server somewhere that people can interact with, I think that's going to be a good thing.
I will say this about it. I think the UI looks like hot trash. I hate the UI of that game. It is so big and blocky and ugly, and I wish more developers would have more streamlined UIs like Elder Scrolls Online, which is coming to Stadia, I'm assuming in June. That one has a great, very minimalistic UI, and I like it a lot. All right. Thank you very much for the super chat there, Captain. Anthony Talcott. And this is going to have to be our last one for today because we're already in an hour. But Anthony says, what is your all-time favorite game to stream as a Let's Play that you want to come to Stadia? I'm going to answer this first, and it's not going to be the answer that you're expecting because it will never come to Stadia. But my all-time favorite game to stream was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because so many weird things happened in that game, and the story in that game is so separated from the actual gameplay that it made it so anybody could come in and watch and really have a fun time when I was streaming that game. But it'll never come to Stadia. What about you, Lloyd? Do you have a game that was like your favorite streaming game?
Kind of. My favorite thing to stream as a Let's Play is stuff that was on this system, Super Nintendo. And the way that I played it was sitting with my wife beside me, with a microphone on her, streaming the games directly from this room, with her making fun of me every single time I died. That was my favorite Let's Play that I've ever did. We played a bunch of old NES and Super Nintendo games. We used to do it every Saturday when we had a little bit more time before she changed her jobs and has a little bit more stuff that is going on. I love doing that. None of that stuff will ever come to Stadia, unfortunately. One of my favorite games to actually stream that wasn't Stadia or wasn't Nintendo focused was I used to stream a fair bit of Diablo, and always had a lot of really great people in the chat. I just sadly don't have the time to stream anymore. I used to do a lot of Twitch stuff. I can't do it anymore. But playing games like that, having people there to keep you company was always a lot of fun for me.
I think the best way to do either a Let's Play game or a stream are usually games where the story is separated from the gameplay in some way, because then it's a different experience for every player. You know, a game like Minecraft, while I won't stream it because it brings in the wrong audience for me, I think that game is wonderful for streaming because there's no story, and every time you watch somebody play it, it's very different than every other time you watch somebody play it.
Right.
You know, games like that are the best kind of games to stream.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. You can follow the show over on Twitter at Stadiacast. You can follow me at Run Jump Stomp. You can follow Lloyd at Dasme. That's DASME. And follow us all. And at some point, we're going to tweet out, buddy codes that people send to us. If you have ideas for things that you want us to talk about throughout the week, be sure to use the hashtag Stadiacast so that we can find your tweets. If you are here live with us, don't forget to use that super chat feature like Anthony Talcott, Ray Sherrod, and Captain Skidmarks did to get your questions on the show. And join our Stadiacast Discord over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. There's over 1,000 people in that Discord. And if you're already joining Discords, join Lloyd's Discord, which you can find over at resd.tv/Discord. He's got a great community of people there as well. And they talk about the other shows that he does. Music that you're about to hear is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. You can check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, it was good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, Bill. See everybody next week.
Bye. And we're good.
Awesome. We are done. We are done. We are done.
There we go.
For all the people that super chatted, I don't want to do it during the show, but I'll do it after the show.
Right.
I don't mind
Yeah. Defender says, I hate this stupid show. It's always too short. Yeah, I know. Sorry, buddy.
It'd be nice to do 4-hour epics every week, but no one would listen, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? I think that we could do something like that if we talked about other topics. If we were talking about the entire gaming industry, we could have these long conversations about a bunch of different stuff and then break it into different shows. But as this is Stadiacast, that's going to be hard for us to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. It was great to see so many people chatting in the chat room. So many people talking about Stadia games, ray tracing, all that stuff. You folks are fantastic, and love coming here every week to chat with you fine people.
All right. Talking is exhausting, so I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to get out of here. Lloyd, thanks for being the showrunner.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's going to take some practice. I'm not used to single camera setups where we go like host and co-host and switch back and forth. I don't do that on my other shows. I used to once upon a time, and I just said, this is stupid. I keep forgetting to change the camera. So it's going to take me a while to get used to it.
I texted him halfway through the show. I was like, hey, change the camera. You've been looking at the same shot for 10 minutes.
I did half of a Nintendo Pulse like this, and it's my co-host is talking, and I'm just like this. And you hear keyboard in the background and stuff, and I'm like, oh, change it up. So I'm bad at that. So hopefully there'll be a little bit more scene switching in the near future. It's going to take me a while to get used to that.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody.